Morning, guys. Morning. First pumpkin spice of the year. Woohoo! I went with the cold brew just because I have become like a cold brew person. If I'm going to get an iced drink, I want a cold brew. It just tastes better to me. Amazing. Love it. I also want to get the apple crisp macchiato. I remember really liking that last year. They did have it last year. So many things to talk about today. Where to start? Okay. August book read review. That's what this video is about. We're talking about all of our August reads. I read some of my favorite books of the year in August. It was my birthday month. I don't know why. It always happens this way, but I just read my best shit in August. Like, I'm going to insert the list here, and I'm going to call out all of the amazing books that I read. I did read one that was just kind of a snooze fest, and I'll talk to you about that. At least one that was good, but not my favorite, and then a whole bunch of really good stuff. But we've got our pumpkin spice, we got our Halloween blankie, because it is September, which means it's a Burr month, which means Lauren is on 100. Because from September 1st till December 31st, you can't tell Lauren shit. I love it. I'm a holiday person. I go extra. I'm cutting cheese shapes with Halloween cookie cutters and putting them on the charcuterie board. Like, I am extra. So, let me insert here my reads for August, and then we'll discuss them. And there you have it, August reads. I read 11 in August, which is a decent month for me. So I went ahead and made a spreadsheet for my TBR. Wrote down every book I already own or already have on hold at the library. Not books I want to read that I haven't purchased yet. Books that I own. 45 books. So I am doing a no book by September for sure. We're not buying any books in September. I'm going to try to extend that to the rest of the year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. But I'm going to give it the old effort. The, what do they call it? The something try. I can't think of it at the moment. I can't think of it. But the college try, I think is what they say. But yeah, because at my rate, I could completely read my TBR by the end of the year if I didn't buy any more books or add any more books to it. Because I'm reading 10 to 12 books a month, 45 books. I could nearly in 4 months clear out my TBR. And that is kind of my goal. Like, obviously, I never want to have a 0 book TBR, because I think I would just like have a panic attack or something. I saw this meme. I was telling my friend about it. It's like having the worst brain this morning. My brain is not braining, but it says something like, I'm immortal because my TBR will never let me die, or something like that. It was a cute little meme. And just basically like, I can't die because I have all these books still left to read. So I definitely feel like that sometimes. But my TBR is always growing. Right now, you see I read Mistborn this month, and I did a separate video on what I thought of it. It's one of my favorite reads of the year, one of my favorite reads ever. Really well done fantasy that doesn't get too bogged down, because that's a lot of my issue with fantasy. When it gets to too much world building, is sometimes it does get a little bogged down. It gets a little too much to chew. And I'm a quick reader. So if I'm just literally like, we're still 4 pages, 5 pages, a whole chapter in, and we're just talking about the quality of soil, you know what I mean, in this land, you're going to lose me. But this is really well done stuff. So anyways, I read Mistborn. The next 2 books in that like 3 book kind of series are on my 45 book TBR. But then Brandon Sanderson has a whole bunch of other stuff that I want to read that I don't own yet. And so it's not on my TBR, so I'll never be without a TBR, I don't think. So, but that is my goal for this year. Speaking of Mistborn, I have a friend who got me to read Mistborn. And that friend has a podcast. And I will be on that podcast next week. We are going to be talking about, this week. Wow. It's coming up quickly. We are going to be talking about House of Dragons. If you don't know, because I don't review a whole lot of George R. R. Martin's work on this channel, because he hasn't put anything new out, really, since I've had this channel. Looking at you, Mr. Martin. I am a big House Targaryen fan. I read Fire and Blood. That was the last thing I read by him, because that's the last thing he put out. And I really enjoyed it. So House of Dragons kind of follows Rhaenyra, Daemon, Alicent, that whole group that is partly covered in the Fire and Blood and the upcoming war for power that is coming. There are things that are going to be coming. I'm going to try and not do any spoilers on it. But the podcast is called Entertainment Evolved, I believe. And I am going to double check that so that I'm 100% sure I'm giving you the right information. Yes, I was correct. It is called Entertainment Evolved, and you can find it on Spotify. And I will be on there Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week. So if you go find Entertainment Evolved on Spotify, the episode with the House of Dragons episode 3 review, I should be on there. And we're going to talk all kinds of Targaryen lore and what we expect from this season and what they're currently doing so far. I don't want to give you too much of my opinion because I'm going to do that over there. I'm a fan so far. I know I have a lot of overseas viewers, friends, who still don't live in the United States. I'm not sure if you guys have access to House of Dragon. I'm going to do some research before I do the podcast. But I hope you guys do, that there's somewhere where you guys are able to watch it. And yeah, I am really enjoying it, and we're going to talk about that. But jumping into this review, man, did I read some good stuff this month. Okay, we got to talk about the stinker in the group, which really wasn't even a stinker. It just wasn't my vibe. It wasn't my favorite thing in the entire world. That's Wrath and Dawn, okay? Renee Ahdieh, I think is how you say her last name. It's French. She wrote the Beautiful series, which I have reviewed on this channel because I absolutely loved her Beautiful series. So when I was browsing through Barnes & Noble a few weeks ago, I was like, ooh, this is by Renee Ahdieh. And I would love to read it because I love the Beautiful series. And it just wasn't for me. It was too slow. It is a retelling of Arabian Nights. And it was just a little too slow for me, you guys. I don't know what it was. I finished it, obviously. But it's a no for me. Maybe if you are looking for just like a really cozy book that you don't care that it's like really slow, this is the one for you. Beach Read by Emily Henry we read this month. That is one of the most fantastic books that we read this month. One of my favorite books of the year. Emily Henry is becoming an instant buy for me. I read a lot of instant buy authors this month, but Emily Henry is one of them. She also wrote Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation. Both of which I've read, both of which I've reviewed, both of which were fantastic, but I think Beach Read was my favorite. I really love her style of writing, and I love the characters that she writes. All of her heroines are bookish women, whether they're writers or literary agents or something in the literary world, and she just writes incredible characters that I relate to tremendously. I think that I related the most to this heroine in Beach Read. Also, some of the things she was going through with her father really hit super close to home. I thought it was going to be like a really lighthearted rom-com, and that thing had me in a chokehold at the end where I was like crying hysterically. Love a book like that. Also read Ali Hazelwood's follow-up to Love Hypothesis, which is Love on the Brain. It's STEM-based rom-coms. So women in STEM is a huge thing. I work in a STEM industry of IT. I work as a data analyst as my 9 to 5. And there's not a lot of women. I'm going to put that out there. I was talking to another friend who kind of works in the same industry, and I was talking to him about my college experience, how I was commonly the only female in the classroom. So that was not, normal to me, because I had previously gone to school for literature and English where there was tons of women. I had a core group. So when I went and got my IT degree, it was like the opposite. It was a sausage party up in my IT school. So that's the thing, but that's why I love these books so much. And I will say, I think Love on the Brain outdid Love Hypothesis for me, because I don't know why, I just really loved Love on the Brain. Levi Ward, who plays the male character in this book, is one of my favorite characters ever written. I'm going to put that out there right now. The NASA engineer that is also like super down to earth and humble and very like nonchalant and chill and cool, but also knows what he wants. Like, he was epic, perfect book boyfriend for me. Like, Levi Ward was up there with some of my favorite book character males. So cheers to Levi Ward for being a non-problematic, intelligent man in the world. Love that. So yeah, Love on the Brain was incredible. Ruth Ware's The It Girl. Ruth Ware, another instant buy for me. You guys know I love her thrillers. They are based in the UK, and she's an English writer. So I have heard people complain about her verbiage and her like slang that she uses that makes it a little difficult. To me, doesn't bother me at all. I could read anything she writes, and do read everything that she writes. I have not missed a single one of her books she's put out. I got it for my birthday from my best friend Cheyenne. She sent it over to me digitally, and I read it in like a day. This one is classic whodunit Ruth Ware. And this one, then, you're almost like not even sure what happened. Like, it makes you question, was she even murdered? Was it an accident? Like, it was really, really, really well done. Always page-turning thriller. Absolutely love it. The Dark One, that's book 2 in like the Never King. This is that Dark Peter Pan series that I've read. My other friend Kay reads this one as well. The third installment, The Dark Darling, is coming out soon. As great, smutty, quick reads. It's basically a Peter Pan retelling with some dark stuff mixed in, and I like it. Nikki St. Crow, I believe, is her name. Excellent work, very easy reads. Huge fan of that series, and excited to read The Dark Darling. What else did we read this month? The Witcher. Finally got around to hitting the first book of The Witcher. I actually did an audiobook on that one. It's the only audiobook I did this month. I don't do a lot of audiobooks, but the Witcher series is really set up for that because it is a bunch of short stories. I'll have an audiobook or 2 this month because I have to make 2 trips to Florida. So I'll have audiobooks going then. But The Witcher lived up to the hype. I had read the first book years ago, and it didn't really stick with me. I think because of the short story format. And so listening to it again in August. I really enjoyed it. I liked being able to just pick up and listen. I also had some oral surgery stuff done, and so just laying in bed trying to relax, listening, it was perfect for it. Perfect because of its, like I said, short stories format. Read so much in August, I had to go back and look to make sure I was reviewing everything. Vampire Knitting Club. So cozy, so cute. Recommended by a friend. Love it, love it, love it. I'm reading book 2 right now. It'll be the first book that I read in September. It's called Stitches and Witches. Like, come on, how cute is that? But really cute little whodunit mysteries. And, hi, big boy. My big boy came over to say hello. So love Nancy Warren's little Vampire Knitting Club series. 56 Days is a COVID quarantine thriller that I've been wanting to read for a while. It was thriller of the year in 2021, according to New York Times. Slow burn for sure. Like the beginning, I really was like, we don't even have a body. What is going on? How is this the thriller of the year? By middle and end, it really picked up. It had a really good play on how quarantine affected things like this, because you didn't know who was coming in, who was coming out, how long the body had even been there before it started to smell that bad that people noticed because it was an apartment complex. Like, really cool how it talked about how quarantine affected some things that, like murders, because people aren't having contact with other people as often. So I really, really enjoyed that. I see why it was the thriller of the year for 2021. What else did we read? Oh my gosh, The Paper Girl of Paris. That book was freaking amazing. Freaking amazing. I got it as a $5 book at Starbucks in Barnes & Noble. So they do this thing at my Barnes & Noble Starbucks where once every other month or once every 3 months or something, they do a $5 book. And they display it at the front of Starbucks, and it's like a new book. And it's just whatever is featured that month. And this was one of those books. And I picked it up. It was the first time I'd ever picked one up. And it was so freaking good. And it's about a girl who goes to Paris because her grandmother has left her this apartment. And her parents are kind of like, why? We didn't even know Grandma had an apartment in Paris. Why did she leave it to you? Yada, yada. So she finds this diary in this time capsule-esque apartment almost, because nobody's really touched it since World War II. And she kind of finds out about her grandma and her grandma's sister, would have been her great aunt. And it's just excellent. It talks a lot about the Nazi invasion of Paris and some of the things that they went through from a couple of different perspectives. Like this perspective was that of wealthy Parisian family who maybe didn't buck the Nazis as much as they should have. So it was really, really well done. And it was kind of a lose-lose situation, because if you went along with things and went to these parties being thrown, these dinner parties being thrown by the Nazis because you wanted to eat, you were often after the war persecuted. So it just became, it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. The Paper Girls of Paris. Really, really, really good. And The Coldest Girl in Cold Town is the last one I think I have not talked about, sorry. So that was a Holly Black book, and she also wrote The Cruel Prince. Loved The Cruel Prince. That one is fae-based. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town is vampire-based. And it was okay. I enjoyed it. I have a friend who read it who absolutely loved it. It is a little bit of a different take on vampires and things like that. Basically, all the vampires, they round them up and put them in like this dome type place called Cold Town. And Talks about like a lot of teenagers and stuff and how they desire to be a vampire, but maybe it's not what it's cut out to be. So yeah, Coldest Girl in Cold Town. I believe Holly Black wrote that before she wrote the Cruel Prince series. I've read the Cruel Prince. I liked it a little bit more than the Coldest Girl in Cold Town, but still Coldest Girl in Cold Town was good. That is my wrap up for this month. Read some amazing, amazing things. Some of my favorite reads of the year: Mistborn, Beach Read, Love on the Brain, Paper Girl Paris. All of those are up there with some of the best books I've read this year. I love the Vampire Knitting Club so much too. It's got a special place in my heart because of the coziness of it and the feelings it gives me, the warm feelings it gives me. Just incredible, incredible stuff, guys. Make sure you check out Entertainment Evolved on Spotify, and Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe my episode should be up where I'm going to talk about some House of the Dragon stuff. If you are, like I said, overseas and you're delayed getting the episodes, maybe wait until episode 3 comes out for you before you watch, or listen. It'll be a listen. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for caring what I read in a month. Like, that is incredible to me that anybody watches or cares what I thought of books that I read. So I truly appreciate that from you guys. I hope you have an amazing week. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about something a little different, which is House of Dragon this week on Entertainment Involved. So I'll see you guys next week.